Molly, hi Dutch and James. I was looking for old matches featuring yourself and stumbled on a match where you teamed up with Cactus Jack to fight the Rock and Roll Express. The biggest surprise was that Cactus Jack took the pinfall. Can you let us know? I mean, it says a lot. It says a lot about your run in WCW. That, I guess.
No shit.
Wait
a minute. Is she? Who sent this in?
Molly.
Molly, you calling me a jobber? Is that what you're calling me?
You're going to hear from Dustin Rhodes sooner or later.
Absolutely. That's right. Keep it up. Keep it up, Molly.
Can you let us know what it was like working with Mick and just how good, bad, high-risk Foley was in the early years? Thank you and love the podcast. Before we get to that, we were talking about this off air, and you actually have a story about this match.
Yeah, I do. Okay, we're in the dressing room. We're going to Rock and Roll Express. And, hey, after a while, Mick they were using him really, really good. And all of a sudden they came in with the finish and they were going to take it on Mick. And I went, what? Because I expected me, and I had no problem with it. It's a job to me. So when finally I went, whoever came in and told us to finish, and Mick seemed fine. I said, wait a minute. I asked him about it. I said, why are they beating you? I said, I have no problem with doing it. I mean, beating me. He said, no. Don't worry about it. He said, I'm leaving. I said, you're leaving? He said, yeah, I don't like the way they're using me here. And he had a point. And he said, I just don't want to do this because they don't really have anything in mind and no plans. And they just want to maybe come up with a little bit here and a little bit there or whatever. But he said, I'll do it because I was staying and he was leaving. So, which surprised me. And that was the first time I'd heard that he was leaving. If somebody told me, oh, when is Mick finishing up? I'd heard nothing about it. Because I think he just told them that night that he was finishing up. And what date was this, in the early 90s?
Yeah, I think.
And I
1990,
think he went,
like middle of 1990, something like that.
I think he went to Japan from there.
Mm-hmm.
And later on, of course, he got his chance in WWF. And he went there and made the name bigger. But I had no problem with it at all. And it surprised me that they took it on Mick. And I saw the match back. This is a regular match, and Mick was good. He was very good. Rock and Roll was probably one of the greatest tag teams, in the last 20 or 30 years, because he had a lot of energy and a lot of young kids liked them, and Ricky looks like a little rock star anyway. You know who gave him that name, right?
What's that? Ricky Morton?
No, the Rock and Roll. Me and Lawler.
Right. Okay. So I think right. Jimmy Hart claims. Jerry Lawler claims.
Who claims what?
That they invented the Rock and Roll Express.
Oh, they did invent them, but because we stopped. Well, actually, Lawler come up with the name. We stopped at a truck stop. I've told this before. And we went in there, and Lawler got him a bunch of magazines, of rock and roll magazines, and was looking at them. And, and I said, hey, he said, I thought about maybe giving them that, the little bandanas and this and that and the other. And I said, yeah, why don't you call them the Rock and Roll? And they had the Midnight Express. He said, yeah, we call them the Rock and Roll Express. And that's how their name was born on a trip somewhere from Knoxville to Memphis, as I recall. And then I heard that Jimmy Hart takes credit for it. So, but anyway, they were born in Memphis. And the first night, I've told this to Robert didn't even want to put the outfit on. He was embarrassed. And then when he came back and he saw the reaction they got, well, he didn't have any trouble putting it on then on out. So, but Ricky was that team. Ricky was the Rock and Roll. Robert was, because Ricky always did the interviews and Robert never did the interview. Robert just filled that second role over there.
Before we get off Mick Foley,
yep,
in 1990 or 1991, no, I think it was 1990. So obviously, he'd be well known to do all the high risk stuff later on, but he was taking some horrendous bumps in WCW at that time in 1990 as well. I don't suppose you or anyone else ever had a word with him that you know of where they just said, dude, it's a house show in front of 400 people. You do not need to be taking back bumps onto the concrete.
I never had any, a suggestion to him that he didn't need to do that. Well, it's the way he is. He's built that way. You've seen the bump he took off the top of the house, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wait a minute, he's doing this? But that's the way he made his name. He went to Japan with all that crazy stuff, the barbed wire, the exploding matches. That's how he made his living. And the wilder it was, and of course, the Undertaker throwed him off the top of the cage. You couldn't have melted and poured me off the top of that cage. I ain't doing it. But he did it, and he made a lot of money doing it. So, my hat's off to him.